Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for hopping in our webinar here to the kickoff of a phenomenal new program that we're rolling out here at Core, and you're the first to get the details on the presentation and everything we have going on here. I got a couple special guests with me on the screen here. You'll see Jeff and Ruth, and we'll get a great introduction to them and their involvement in leading this great program to be able to bring to you and the advisors that we work with here at Core. So, presentation-wise, we'll kind of get through a couple of the slides as it goes to it, but a little background, if you're on the call here or on the webinar, you obviously most likely have worked with us here at Core, and we've been very involved in helping you as an advisor build out your financial planning practice. And in ways for us to be able to help and understand how insurance and risk management products fit within that financial planning practice, we as a team have always worked through educational opportunities to strengthen that knowledge within our team. And we had a great engagement and interaction with the group that we're going to be rolling forward today and talking about to bring that not only from an education standpoint but to an execution standpoint. And so the Core Evolve program is what we are rolling out here, and we're adding it as call it another pillar to the offerings here at Core that we're bringing to advisors. We have a lot of like-minded advisors. When we do our Insurance Intel event up in Minneapolis, there's a lot of great financial planners that are in the room there. And so what we're doing is we're bringing a fourth pillar of practice management and business development to you and the network that you work with. And so I'm going to pop open my screen here and share. But this gives us a great opportunity to, there it is, to evolve your business in the financial planning arena. I think there's a lot of things that are evolving. Funny, use of words there on the team. But in the market as it relates to being a financial advisor, a lot of individuals may have grown up in one or two of the different segments of financial planning. How can you elevate your practice to involve things like estate planning and tax planning and bring those to the client? Clients today see you as the financial person often as everything financial, whether it's something you may be offering or not. So if you want to elevate your practice to involve estate planning, this is going to be a great program for you. If you want to build a financial planning offering to clients, right? Like how do you show them the practice of what you're going to develop and bring those pieces of collateral to you? And so what we're going to go through here is the idea that we want to expand your wallet share with the clients that you currently have and give you opportunities to attract higher net worth clients. We know from a seminar or a prospecting standpoint that estate planning is one of the largest draws as it relates to higher net worth clients, but that often can be the most difficult to convert or transition and pivot into a client. And I think what you're going to see here today is a great way to build that playbook into your practice. And if you have a team of advisors, how you can all be operating on that same playbook. So this is going to be something that we're going to go through here. Stepping back a moment, this is something you may be familiar with. There's generally 5 categories that we talk about when it comes to financial planning: estate planning and what happens at the event of someone's death; tax planning, separately often addressed by a CPA; risk management and insurance, which is often where we may be involved in some of the planning with life insurance or annuities or LTC. We have investments over there, and then income planning. And often what we've seen and come across is an awareness to these 5 different components, but not necessarily a comprehensive nature of bringing those 5 components together. And that's going to be a lot of the difference of what you're going to see in this program is the ability to bring all 5 of those segments together in a comprehensive way. So I talked about this a little bit. There's going to be a couple segments that we'll go through here, but this is for the established advisor, transitioning your client relationships to be truly comprehensive. It's going to allow multi-generational conversations because we are building upon estate planning ideas and conversations. It's going to allow you to build your expertise without necessarily having to go back and sit behind the desk at your local college or whatever it be. And I think a great opportunity is expand your revenue streams, which may include something like planning fees. For your younger clients, this is going to be stepping it back even a little bit further of how to become an expert in this financial planning arena, right? Like how do I onboard somebody faster? How do I build more confidence to move you from overhead to positive revenue generating, right? And making newer advisors conversation ready that it goes with this. So we're going to go through the program here. I'm going to introduce specifically Ruth and Jeff, and they're going to take this. But Advanced Planning Educational Group here, APEG, I'll kind of refer to them, has built a phenomenal platform of both experts and materials to bring this unbiased education and resources to you and the team and the business that you want to build. Again, we've seen in the past a lot of materials, but that may be purely from an educator standpoint. The nuance in the differentiator for APEG here is not only are they educators at universities, right? But they're also application from an advisor perspective. So understanding what does it mean to take the idea, but also bring it into your engagements with the client. So I'm going to pass this over to Jeff and Ruth, and you guys can introduce yourselves and step into the program, and we'll kind of go through some of the materials that we have here in more detail.
Sounds great. Thanks. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, I'll go quickly first, and then I'll turn it over to Jeff, and he'll walk you through kind of the nuts and bolts of everything that we've got. So my name is Ruth Raftery. I'm an attorney and a CPA by background. So I spent most of my career with deep tax and estate planning knowledge. About 8 years ago, a little more than 8 years ago, Jeff and I kind of came together to form APAG, Advanced Planning Educational Group, really with kind of the theory that a lot of advisors maybe touch on estate planning and touch on tax, but never learned it in a comprehensive way. They never really learned it in a way that's easily explainable to clients. So what we've done for the past 8 years is we've tried to kind of put this all into a program that Jeff will talk about in a minute, but really to help, Dan, as you mentioned, with the education and more importantly, the execution. How can you execute with your clients to gain greater wallet share, do more for those clients you serve, and hopefully charge a planning fee at the end of the day. So, Jeff, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thanks, everyone. And hopefully we will get to meet at some point in the future.
Okay. And just a little introduction myself. My name is Jeff Hemley, spelled really weird, so don't try to phonetically sound it out because it'll be goofy. But anyway, I'm a practicing planner. I sit in front of clients just like most of you do, and I've been doing that for over 25 years. And one of the things that's been most important in my practice, even before I met Ruth, was the idea of having a consistent, repeatable process that could be scaled. So that way, no matter who at my firm, there's 9 people that are part of my organization. No matter which one of us are meeting with a client, we all have our clients have the same experience, and we become interchangeable, which allows for a lot of continuity planning. So all along, I was looking to create a system that consistently gave a client a similar experience, at least in the engagement process. The second thing is I started off leaning more towards the insurance side. We know that there's the insurance side, there's the investment side. And I started on the insurance side, and I migrated to include investments. And I realized that whether you're dealing with insurance or investments, you generally engage the client under one of those lenses. But for people that want to address the new demands of the marketplace, which is clearly leaning towards more comprehensive planning, this is what clients are asking for. To do that, you have to change the way you engage clients. You have to engage them as a comprehensive financial planner. You have to ask different questions, and different processes have to be in place than would otherwise be there in the investment world. So we've designed and developed a system that has been applied with my own firm way before we set up APEG. And since we set up APEG, we've worked with some of the largest broker dealers and RIAs in the country to help them develop and design estate planning or financial planning processes using this very system. We use, what we're going to share with you, we've had great success at helping two classes of advisors. These existing advisors, we've helped them to grow. If you want to back up a notch there, Dan, reverse click, there you go. Existing advisors grow and new advisors get a faster start in the industry. Now, it's not just Ruth and I that lead this program. I'm joined by several other colleagues. We have Greg Fortune, who was actually one of my CFP instructors and wrote the textbook for my CFP investment course. We have him on board. He's still on the faculty with Ruth and I at Oakland University. He participates in the financial planning course, and he grades the financial plans. We have Greg Henley, who's had a background in financial planning for 25 years. Lisa Lee is a paralegal. She coordinates a lot of our membership. Don Denstedt and Mark Wise, both of them are instructors at Oakland and teach the investment course in the CFP. I personally work at Oakland. I teach financial planning, risk management, and estate planning, and Ruth teaches income taxation. And so we've got the academic world and the practical world, and we brought them together to share with you to give you the cutting edge. Now we can go click. That's our secret word, by the way, guys. Dan and I worked it out because he's got the mouse and the control. So when you hear me say click, it's a secret word to Dan in case you guys didn't put that together. So when we met up with Core, and I met Core because I was evaluating them to become my new FMO. And we had a chance to sit down with Core and Tim, and we were just terribly impressed with what we saw. And we brought to the table two of our main programs along with other resources. The first thing we brought a curriculum called Foundations of Financial Planning. This covers all 5 segments plus Social Security and Medicare. And the idea of this is to help round off your knowledge with any one of those segments, or to help educate a new advisor you're bringing into the firm, or even new administrative people to support it. So we've got 3 hours on estate planning, 3 hours on tax planning, 3 hours on insurance planning, 3 hours on income planning, and 3 hours on investment planning, along with some other side modules. Each section has quizzes. They have a test at the end of each module and a comprehensive financial exam. We're bringing this to the table so that for those of you that might have a new advisor you're bringing in, we always make the decision, are we making a good investment in new advisors? So this creates an opportunity to test what I call the 2 A's, attitude and aptitude. 1, did they complete it in time in the goal you set forth? And number 2, how did they score in that final exam? I hired a young man a couple of years ago in my own branch, and I gave him the exam before I'd even give him a seat at the office. And he passed the exam in under 2 weeks with a 90% score. And I looked over and said, this is worth my investment of time. Now, if he didn't get it done or he got a 50, I would know I probably don't have the right person that I want to invest in. So that we brought the Foundations of Financial Planning curriculum to you through Core. And then finally, we brought the repeatable process that allows you to shift gears from maybe engaging clients as an insurance professional or an investment professional to shift to engage in financial planning and build a value proposition that will warrant charging a financial planning fee if you're not already doing so. And we teach that. So if we can click. So again, that's the foundations. Here's where we're going to evaluate how people are doing that you're hiring at your team. Are they moving along at the pace you want? And they're going to take the quizzes. For some senior advisors, they look over and say, well, I've always done investments. I've done insurance planning. But, am I really up to date on estate planning? Am I really up to date on some of the new tax planning techniques? So here we've gone ahead and say, pick and choose. If you want to brush that up because you want to introduce that to your firm as part of your planning process, it's there. You can pick and choose what you want. You can grab 1 topic, 2 topics, or all the topics. So we'll go click again. The planner's pathway that we've got here. In the planner's pathway, there's 2 versions we brought to Core. One is a self-study planner's pathway, which teaches how do you conduct a first meeting. And then it goes even further. During the discovery interview that takes place in that first meeting, there's nearly 15 hours of video to walk you through each section of a discovery interview to allow you to build credibility in the eyes of your client, where it'll give you it'll give you the discovery interview, and then it'll give you what we call the basis for an island of education. And in that self-study, you see each and every section of the discovery interview broken down into much more detail, because we can't ask every question, but the videos will teach you if they answer this will dive a little deeper. Here's some follow-up questions. Here's what an island of education is. If I looked over and said, Dan, do you have a dog? And Dan says, I do. I'm going to say, I bet you're wondering why, as a financial planner, I'm asking that question. Because if you have a certain breed of dog, it may not be covered by your homeowner's insurance unless you disclosed it. And if that dog happens to eat the mailman, Dan, then you may
Yeah.
be completely exposed and your net worth is exposed. And so something like that. So by giving that little island of education, why I ask the question, it encourages clients to say, wow, this person has depth. They're asking questions no one else has ever asked, and they're explaining why they're asking these questions. It creates credibility. So we have that there, and then that's our self-study program. One step above self-study, the in-person. So it includes the full self-study videos. And then we come together for 2 days to dive into an immersive workshop where we go through the same material. We go through additional educational content on practical information, and then we dive into role playing. As I've been an instructor a long time, and I tell all my students at Oakland, you're always role playing. You just choose if you want to do it with a colleague or do you want to do it with a client. I prefer to do it with a colleague because I don't really like to gamble with a prospective client that I spent a lot of money to bring into my office. So this gives us a chance to practice and get feedback from our peers on how can we do better. Click. All right. So having organized meetings at the beginning and throughout the process is crucial to having a standardized, repeatable, scalable process. And so in this, we have a first meeting process on the left-hand side of the screen. It covers every step of that first meeting, from pleasantries, asking the clients if they have any time constraints. What 2 or 3 things were burning in your heart when you came in to see me today? The only decision we're going to cover today, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, and I'm going through this at Work Drive to be respectful of all of your overview time that you've granted us. What today at the end of our meeting, the only thing we're going to ask is, are we going to work together? Do we both feel we have the chemistry to work together? And then I'm going to teach you the questions, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, you should ask of me or anyone else you're considering. And then we're going to show a value proposition, which I'll cover in just a second. Then we conduct a discovery interview with the client. We get to that last question, are you going to work with me? And then we have one more question, because we're going to assume a yes. How will we work? And this is where we decide, are we going to go to a fee-based arrangement where you're paying me a fee for financial planning, or I'm simply going to do a very thorough due diligence to make individual recommendations, and then we reschedule. But by having a defined process that we go through in the planner's pathway, we dive into each of these segments to give you a concise, defined process that you can use throughout your practice. The next thing is, when we have our meetings, after we gather data, we're going to have segment meetings. We're going to have a meeting to discuss the estate issues. And what do we do in each of our segment meetings? The first is we're going to deliver a little bit of education to the client. Maybe we're in estate planning. What are the 5 key documents we'll find in estate plan? The power of attorney for our assets, healthcare, the living will, the revocable trust, the portable will. What are those documents? What are they and what do they do? Or any additional education that we might have that we discovered in the interview. Maybe they have a special needs child, or they want a pet trust, whatever the case may be. So we gather that information, we give them a basic education. Then we present to them, these are the observations that we went through and identified in our analysis of your situation. And then the third thing, these are the steps we're going to go next. And so we support each segment by saying we've got this. Now, the interesting thing is under number 2 there for the segment meeting, we cover the basics. What are the 5 key documents? What are the 4 ways assets pass at death? But for some situations, we bump into something we may not bump into often, but it's a real issue. Maybe they have a special needs child or grandchild. So to support that, in our partnership with CORE, we're making available, we do a monthly webinar where we bring in attorneys, CPAs, and other financial professionals and insurance professionals to cover these niche areas. We bring those in and we hold those live. And if you attend live, you get CFP CE credit. And so that's available to make sure we tighten that ear. When you participate in the planner's pathway, it's not just about having the words to say, it's about having supporting material. So we have 4 packets that we've prepared for you, and we customize them in our partnership with CORE, where we take the standardized material with the planning disc in it, the interview, and instead of just saying, this is our initial interview, it's got your branding, your logo on it. So when you pull it out in front of a client, you've got to-go items that you can lay on the table and put it out in front of them. You've got an interview. You've got a roadmap to a relationship, which identifies from the interview everything that could be a planning opportunity. And we even have an annual review. And then we support that with a digital version of the overview in case you need to meet with a client via Zoom, because let's face it, that's where the industry is going. So everybody gets custom branded materials that participate in Planner's Pathway. Also, we work with CORE, and we're going to be bringing to the table roundtable sessions so that the people that have demonstrated they want to be this financial planner can join a group of peers, step into a peer meeting online, And then we'll dive into cases. We'll talk about things that may be impacting your planning practice. And we dive in and everybody participates. So even if you didn't bring a case to discuss, you can watch what another person might do. Ruth always says this, and I'll steal it from her. We'd all love to know what our competitors are doing in their offices. We'd love to know what they're saying and how they're saying it. Well, what better way than joining a group of people to hear how they're saying things, how they're discussing what they do for their discovery. So we have that, and we participate with CORE. So CORE's on board to share their information and their background along with us, and those are all guided. Finally, at the very end, we make available a library through CORE that covers over 50 prior webinars, so that at any point in time you say, hey, look, I've got this special needs client, but I really don't know what I need to do. You can go to the library and say, oh, there's 3 videos on special needs planning. You've got a couple held by attorneys and one held by a financial professional. Let's go watch those videos so that when the client comes in, I'm prepared to educate the client and identify some of the solution sets so that we can move forward, so that you have full access to that library of materials through our partnership with CORE. Click. Before we get into what does it cost, if I can get you to back up to the disc, I want you to stop there for a second.
Yeah.
Just to use this time wisely. The value proposition that we present to clients, because most of the time everybody tells clients, I'm a wealth manager, I do comprehensive planning. But it's difficult to quantify. What is comprehensive planning? What is wealth management? So we use this disc as a cornerstone of our value proposition. So let's go through this. The way we would say that to a client, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, every family has 5 plans that make up their comprehensive plan. They have an estate plan. They have a tax plan, which is led, as Dan said, usually by the tax professional. The estate plan is led by the attorney. We have an insurance plan led by the insurance professional or professionals. We have an income plan that is led either by the insurance agent or the investment planner. And then finally, we have an investment advisor. And those 5 segments normally don't talk to each other. And as a result, it puts the burden on you, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, to communicate what the estate planning attorney said to the tax professional or to the investment advisor. Mr. and Mrs. Jones, here at Platinum Wealth Management Group, my firm, we take those 5 segments and we pull them together because we recognize that a decision made in any one segment will have an impact on the other 4. And so what we do is we take a look at each and every one of those segments. We help you explore each segment. In the estate planning, we strive to answer 3 questions with you, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. 1, what's going to happen to your assets and your wishes when the first spouse passes? Number 2, what are we going to do when the second spouse passes, the surviving spouse, to get those assets to your heirs? And we always say, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, people don't have money to have numbers on paper. They have money to take care of the people they love and the causes they believe in. So number 2 is really important to us. And then number 3 is, what are we going to do to incapacity? We take all that data and we build into the tax strategy, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, and we look at the taxes. We look to answer 3 questions. 1, what are we doing to mitigate taxes while both spouses are alive? Number 2, many of my colleagues overlook this, and this is really important. When the first spouse dies a year later, we're going to be filing a single person's tax return. Our tax brackets are going to be much more compressed. We're going to go from 2 deductions to 1 in every category. And now, even though it takes the same revenue or close to it to run the household, more of that revenue is going to be taxed in the higher brackets. And so it's important that we contemplate that. And finally, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, what we learned in the estate plan is who matters to you and your causes you believe in. So now we can start to think about a little generational planning, or how do we mitigate taxes after death, and to make sure we're not overspending taxes. We also get information on the tax return because we get a chance, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, to find out how much are you spending. Normally, we're going to give you a budget sheet. We'll ask you to fill it out. Many people miss things. I did one for my wife and I to see how it would look, and I missed a bunch of stuff at the end. So we teach 2 things. 1, that's very important, helps us save money in overspent categories. But number 2, we look at the tax return in the tax planning segment and say, all right, we've got this much income. We peered off this much here to pay taxes. We sent this much to the qualified plans, the 401k. We retired debt. We maybe acquired some debt, so we got a little bit more revenue in the house. And we have a run through a formula. Whatever's in the bottom there is what we spent last year. And so if we didn't save it, pay taxes, or pay off debt, we spent it. So now we can compare that number against the budget number and find out if there's any disconnect. With that data, we can move into the insurance plan. In insurance, we want to do 3 things. Are we prepared for premature death? Are we prepared for a disability? And really, an important situation these days, are we prepared for a long-term care event? And how much insurance do we need and what type? Well, it's driven by what we learned on the tax return, because now we are only solving for shortfalls. We're only buying the coverage we truly need and the type of coverage we want. Now, we may choose to transfer a risk and buy insurance, but if we're transferring risk, we're going to have a premium that we have to pay. Now we can go to the income planning side, take in our expense load that we learned in taxes, add in that new premium or premiums, and now we can solve for three things. One, what are we doing to provide you with predictable income to the extent you want it while you're both alive? What are we going to do to make up for that shortfall when the first of you passes? Because when we lose the first of you, we lose that small Social Security benefit. That could be $2,000 a month. That's $24,000 a year. What are we doing to make up for that? And third, do we have any obligations to our heirs that maybe we've got a child that's living with us that we're supporting? Do we need to continue that after death? Mr. and Mrs. Jones, we're going to use the most efficient tax efficient and efficient tools to produce income in that segment. And whatever's left, now we're going to invest, but we're going to invest intelligently. We're going to invest considering our legacy goals, our tax strategies, what risk we've transferred, the risks we retained, and then what we have already built out for income. So we're going to have a much more well-rounded investment. Now, we do all this, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, and if you notice those arrows, because you can do it once, but things change year over year. So the idea is that we do planning, not just a plan, because planning is a lifetime event. Everything changes, whether it's a tax code or your situation, we want to adapt. So Mr. and Mrs. Jones, this is what separates us from our competitors. So this is the value proposition. I went through it really fast, but when we come together in Planner's Pathway, we slow down, we dive in deep, we learn stories to tell, such as transferring the risk for a long-term care event and the merits, all the tax between the tax plan and the estate plan, versus retaining that risk and the consequences to that. So this is all what we are preparing for, and this is what we're doing in Planner's Pathway. Now, if we want to get down to the cost one now, Dan, I'll turn it back to you.
Go to cost right now. I mean, and just as we're kind of going through this, like if you do have any questions that we want answered, that you're looking to get some more information on, please type those in, and we'll get to kind of addressing those and how things move forward. I know there's quite a few of them that have kind of already hopped in there a little bit. What does it cost? Well, it definitely costs money. You can tell there's a great opportunity to take the minds of some of the best educators here in this business and bring it to application. As I talked about at the beginning, this is an investment that CORE is looking to make in your businesses and bring that forward to you. So from a dollar perspective, the price is right. For you being part of the Core Income Network and getting involved with Evolve here, is that the cost of it doesn't become monetarily. That is something that we have covered in our engagements with APEG and Jeff and Ruth and the team here. The cost, I guess, is really, I would say, is the ability to engage and bring that into your practice, which is both going to be that willingness to step back and kind of reassess where you are in your practice, and as well that time commitment to want to bring your practice to another level, right? And so the cost is perfectly right in that we have that covered for you by being part of the network within Core Income. So what we're going to do there, and we'll take some questions here, is finding the path how to navigate forward, right? And so if you're interested in the foundations course, both those are two individual call it packages within the foundations of elevating your knowledge, but also in the pathways of executing and bring it to practice. So we're going to have some things as we go as step forwards. We'll navigate there. So I'm going to step back. Jeff, I have a few questions. Let me open those to you. Ruth, if it's to you, I'll get it to you as well. One of the questions is, how about being approved with my broker dealer? Obviously, this is client-facing collateral, bringing some of that together. I'll let you go ahead and answer that one.
When it comes down to being approved, I am currently appointed with Osaic. That's my broker dealer in RIA. I've submitted it all. We submitted to many broker dealers, and what's required, because it's treated as advertising, is we prepare it all. We prepare your logo on there. We add your BD disclosure in the back. Once it's all done, you'll submit the PDF that we provide you to your compliance department. So even though mine is approved at Osaic and we have many Osaic reps that are approved with this, you still have to have it individually attached to your name and your rep ID number as an approved item. And then you have to renew that approval each and every year the way we would with any advertising material within Osaic. It's also approved at several other broker dealers, same constraints. We put your BD logo on, we put your firm's logo, we put your BD disclosure on the back with your name. These are individually licensed. You'll tender it to your BD. If they come back with any changes, we'll just adapt accordingly. To this date, we haven't had any changes in 7 years that a broker-dealer hasn't approved. It is very BD friendly, but it does require approval. So that hopefully answers it. Next question, Dan.
Yeah, no, for sure. How about, I think this is probably relevant maybe here to like your planning disc. How do you adapt it for different types of clients? You kind of talked about the death of a first spouse versus a second spouse or needs or special needs and kids and so on. How have you, and this is in the Pathways materials, right? This is
Yes.
what all those videos do represent, but maybe we can touch base on just how you can use this as that scalable, repeatable process, but be adaptable to the person that's sitting across the table with you.
Absolutely. It's really, really, really easy. We always say, here's a baseline. We'll teach you a baseline. If you get off path, get back to the baseline. For those of you old enough to remember, AAA used to have the triptychs. When you went somewhere, you got the little triptych and you fold it out, and it would show you a little map of just 100 miles of road. And then you flip the next map to be the next 100 miles, and it would tell you everything you want to know. We treat this as a triptych from the 1990s. Now, as far as things go, the estate planning segment, Mr. Jones, it's a pleasure meeting with you. When we do the estate planning, we're going to strive to answer 2 questions for you. One, what will happen when you pass away? How will your assets pass on to the people you love and the cause you believe in? And 2, what are we going to do for incapacity? The tax planning is real simple. Mr. Jones, when it comes to tax planning, we're going to say, what are we doing to mitigate taxes now for you? And then we're going to evaluate what are we doing for the legacy. So we can go ahead and just subtract the spouse out. I did explain it from a position of the nuclear family, which is what many of us deal with, but of course it adapts around that. So yes, that's how we deal that. I love the triptychs. I love that. All right,
so somebody got that reference. I love that. Right. But I think the power in this, and as I've explored it, and we've gone through a lot of sessions here with Jeff and Ruth and our teams, is always coming back to whatever the conversation leads to, right? Like you are having the conversations of the realness of today, right? The last few years it's been around inflation, and now it's around, oil and gas prices, right? Like clients want that knowledge to what's happened currently, but often have trouble equating it back to well, what does it mean to me, right? Like having this home base, this repeatable, referenceable process can bring everything back to that landing zone, right? And bringing it back to comfort, to, okay, well, how does that matter, right? For somebody who's younger, as an example, right? It's going to be a lot more involved with maybe premature death or disability, maybe some of the things that they're able to get as risk management products at work. And some of the conversations, their 401k, et cetera, again, all kind of within there. So very, very adaptable. I think that's what makes this powerful. I think the other thing, and Jeff, maybe talk about this, especially if you are amongst a team of advisors and or maybe a manager of advisors, if you're looking to expand your practice, you may be great at this. How do you bring 1, 2, 3 more people along in your practice, and you know that they're kind of in the same fabric of what you've already sold as a value proposition to clients and prospects out there?
And Dan, one of the reasons that we developed this whole plan is, Jeff did all of this kind of in his head way back before I met him. And we sort of pulled that all out so that you can teach it to someone else. So if you are trying to bring in a newer person or trying to, transition your practice at some level, it's definitely helpful when you're on the same page as the other people on your team. So
yeah.
I want to add a couple more value points on this, if I could. One, what's really, really important is the fact that you can train new advisors. 40% of our industry will be retiring in the next 10 years. And so the reality is it's not about money on buying a book of business. Money's available everywhere. It's about having the labor to be able to harvest and keep your book of business and having the labor to harvest the opportunities in the new additional book that you're merging with yours. So by adding people, you're doing that. by having a systematic process that's scalable and repeatable. You're incorporating so that if you bring in a younger advisor or a new advisor and they're going ahead and meeting with the client, and it turns out that it's a very large opportunity that was overlooked, they can bring you in and you know exactly what's been covered. The next thing is for those people that plan on retiring in 10 or 15 years, if you participate in this and you build this into each and every relationship, you're going to have the opportunity to have a more valuable practice to sell because a buyer now knows the journey that you and the client have walked. And so you can go ahead and say, I can show you exactly what we've done. Here's what we've uncovered. Here's how we've got so much wallet share. So all of that builds value. At the very end of this program, we teach a presentation called Fear Free. And Fear Free is something that I incorporated in my business thanks to Ruth, because she kept on sitting on my shoulder, nagging at me. You need to charge a planning fee. You give away too much free stuff.
I don't nag. Just so
One
y'all know.
day with a great prospect, I went ahead and decided to give the client an opportunity to pay her fee or free. Currently, I charge an average of $4,000 in financial planning fees, in addition to collecting an AUM fee for the assets under management and getting compensated for the insurance and annuities that I work with. So there's a third bucket of money. And even if you just charge $1,000 to 100 of 200 clients in your book, you just added $100,000 of extra revenue to your firm, creating liquidity to pay a new hire to support you going forward without taking it out of your paycheck. And so this is what this program will do, is it's going to go ahead, teach you the process, and also teach you how to increase your revenue and simultaneously while building the value of your book of business so that when you sell it, it's even more valuable than the day you started this process. So this is what we strive to bring to the table. And in a live environment, all the questions you're coming at, we really dive in deep so that it's an interactive event. It's high energy. We believe in something called edutainment. And if you're laughing, you're learning. So I will tell you up front, it's often joke laden. We're going to have a lot of fun when we get together. We're going to have good food on Dan. And we're going to have a great time. It's not just about learning in a boring room. We promise to deliver high energy so that when you walk back, you're motivated.
Yeah. Another one that I have, and we'll just get a couple more of these, and then obviously we'll be able to address a lot more of these offline too. How about like I'm an established advisor. How do I bring my newer advisor through the foundations or that educational process? I think it's a little bit maybe directed to, do I have them do it? Do I do it with them? How do we kind of go about doing that expanded knowledge?
Ruth?
Oh, lots of ways. So what's kind of neat is there's a lot, these tools are there and you can use them in whatever way makes sense, right? You can give that foundations course to the new hire, right? Here's a link, take this course, I want you to complete it by X date. Go for it. You can say, hey, we're going to do this together. We've had a lot of senior advisor, junior advisor say, hey, this week is estate planning week. We're going to do estate planning. On Friday, we're going to get together. We're going to talk about what you learned, how we do that here, what my experiences are in that process. You can have a group do it. You can have your 4, 5, 10 people team do it together. Make it a competition. We've seen it used in so many different ways. So as creative as you want to be with the foundations course, it is all online. You can do that. And as far as the planner's pathway, I think it's the live event, that live 2-day event. And Dan, I'm guessing your team's going to give everyone dates as to when those are going to happen, but those can be transformative. It is really, we've taught hundreds of people in the workshop environment. It's a lot of fun. We learn as we're doing it because we learn from you. Everybody chimes in with their own experiences. So it's really dynamic. And from what we've heard and the feedback that we've gotten, it's been really transformative for advisors who attend.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, from what we've learned from that as well, even within our teams, going through those foundation segments and watching the videos, it's often that conversation and dialogue and real life stories that have existed, right? And so that can be the power that if you're in an office with other advisors to talk through the situation of what you watched or kind of went through within that segment about estate planning and maybe having a special needs trust or things along those ways. So as we move forward, we will be obviously reaching out to you. We've got a lot of people that are asking about the slides and getting registered. The program itself, we do have. We'll be connecting with you. So as it relates to foundations, and Jeff kind of touched base on this, there's obviously the videos and the opportunity to watch them and self-study. What we will be doing in addition is holding, call it groups of like-minded advisors, probably in that 6 to 8 person range. You all, if you're on this call, you work with a very specific sales team and success team here at Core. They will be navigating and signing and getting you registered for those groups that can help move along the way. Touch base every couple weeks, talk through about what you found out new, what you liked, and is it really worth your time, right? And kind of continuing that going forward. If you want to do the self-study, rip through all of that education, like that's an option for you, but the real value can be in the dialogue that's going to exist along the way. So that's the foundations. The pathways is that opportunity to use this blueprint in real life practice and execution with your clients. So that we at Core will be hosting 2-day workshops to dive deep into not just a little of that knowledge along the way, but really into that application that Jeff had talked about. So we will be hosting a couple of those yet here in 2026, probably one toward the end of September and one in November. I'm not going to share the dates exactly yet because we have to fully confirm everything set for that. We're going to make it happen because we've already had such a strong interest in just the initial softer conversations that we've been having there. But that's going to be the idea, to bring 20 to 25 like-minded people together that want to grow their practice, that want to have some fun building what we have there. So that we will be specifically connecting with you on getting those scheduled. I do have another question. I think this is phenomenal because we didn't quite touch base on this, Jeff, is, and kind of maybe from your perspective as the practitioner here, right? Like, how do you take this from conversation and a client is interested to building it in the system, right? From CRM to financial planning software and some of the additional value adds here that we didn't even have slides with, right? But the things that you guys, that we've been able to work with vendors on.
Well, first of all, I see the question. I think it's Chris. Thanks for the question, Chris. We work with so many different brokerages and RIAs that have preferences on financial planning software. So, for example, we had designed a new hire program with a similar basis to this for Advisor Group back before Mosaic, and they were fans of all 3 platforms: eMoney, Money Guide, and Right Capital. So we stayed agnostic when we designed it. The only thing that we suggest doing is, if you're using your CRM, is to add the custom fields that you feel from the discovery interview are important for your book of business to add wallet share. Add those to your CRM. And then if you're not, start to consider using tools like Zox or Jump, where you can create a custom template. So while you're conducting the interview and you're jotting notes down in front of the client, the software is grabbing much more detail, and you can work. And I know that all those platforms have custom templates you can create to highlight them. We don't have them standardized because each rep is slightly different. So we want everybody to have their own experience, but they're all there. There's one other thing I wanted to mention, Dan, we didn't talk about. What's else is in it for you to do this? One, you're building a deeper relationship with your clients. You're getting greater wallet share with each client. You're building stickier relationships by having a really comprehensive relationship by handing off 5 segments. And when it comes to the economic impact to your practice, what have we seen? We've been doing this for, I'll leave the broker-dealer nameless. It's a mid-sized broker-dealer. And each year we do a program, just like Dan's talking about, we're going to do at Core. We do almost identical program. The first 3 years, cumulative growth, year-over-year GDC, without increase in number of any substantial increase in client relationships, they saw a 38% on average growth year-over-year GDC, and that's a result of planning fees and increased wallet share. The most recent number that we pulled for this year is on average of all 4 segments that we had done with them, it's been a 55% on average increase. And so there's a lot of wallet share that many advisors leave on the table. This helps to get rid of that split and grab that wallet share. It helps to increase your revenue for planning. So there is a significant economic impact by embracing this type of planning with clients.
Yeah, that is. And these are a lot of the things we continue to go in more depth in that pathways. Some of the tools, as you mentioned, the planning software, whether it's eMoney or Money Guide Pro. You mentioned Zox there and the ability to use some of these newer tools that are out there, but how do I put it into practice, right? And so if I have the same template and I have the same tools, like it allows us to get aggressive at the goals that you're looking to achieve, right? And so a lot of this in this practice management and business development segment, this is newer for us at Core. It's always been involved in the advisors that we're working with, but to bring that full community together, I think is going to be a huge opportunity, right? And so we're excited about the endeavor that we have going here. And like I said, that we'll have the teams reaching out to you. So there's no to-dos for you to come out of the webinar here. We'll obviously be reaching out and connecting with you on looking for your level of engagement and how you want to go forward with that. So just looking here to see if we had any other questions.
You're reading the question list, Dan. Also, many of those tools, we have discounts that are shared between APEC and Core. So if you want to use Zox, or you want to use Right Capital or Holista Plan, we've got established discounts already set up that will work with your partnership with Core so that you can save on using those planning tools to help take you to the next step.
Yeah, so not just making money, but saving money. How about that? Yeah, awesome. So I don't see any more questions. As I mentioned, we'll be connecting with you, find your interest, getting you registered and engaged on the APEG platform, and getting you signed up for the Paths Forward related for the Foundations program as well as the Pathways program. We'll have a recording of the presentation here, so we'll make sure that gets out to you. If you want to watch again, we do have another session of this next week. And so you can just hop in again. We're doing these live, so hopefully version 2 might be better than version 1. But Jeff and Ruth, obviously, thank you for everything that you guys provided today. As you can tell, this is just the beginning of a lot of opportunity with everything that they've built. So thank you guys for hopping on here and giving a glimpse to the programs that you've built as well.
Yep, I appreciate it. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. We look
All right.
forward to seeing any of you in one of our workshops.
All right. Well, appreciate that. Everyone have a good rest of the day, and we will be in touch soon. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.